Okay, for the next section, let's talk about variables of the study. So what do we mean when we say variable? So sabi dito, ito daw ay isang measurable na katangian. Kaya mong sukatin or kaya mong identify ng iyong subject. So for example, if we're talking about people, respondents, a variable, sex can be a variable, gender can be a variable. Siyempre, pwede nating tanongin sila, di ba? In a way, we can know if they are male or female. Or for example, if you are a scientist, you're working in a laboratory, so about plants, plant growth yung research. So plant growth is a variable because you can measure it, di ba? Kung gaano na siguro kahaba o kataas yung iyong plant in centimeters. So that's a variable, anything that you can measure. So variable, vary, the value can vary from one group or another. So in terms of people, we can categorize them into two, di ba? Two values or two categories, whether male or female. In terms of that plant growth study na sinasabi natin kanina, halimbawa yung group A, artificial light, group B, natural sunlight. So you would expect that in general, may pagkakaiba sila in terms of growth, yung mga plants on those groups. So variables can also have numerical or categorical values. So numerical, tulad ng plant growth, maybe in centimeters. Categorical, if you're talking about people, ayan, gender, male or female categories. So let's talk about experimental research first. Paano natin nakikita yung variable sa mga experimental research? So for example, this is your study. So gusto ng isang researcher na malaman yung epekto ng exercise on the strength of the person. Okay, yun ang gusto niyang malaman. So ang ginawa niya, meron siyang mga volunteers o mga respondents, mga participants in his study. So kinrupo niya, no? So group 1, ito yung mga tao na mag-exercise 4 times a week. Group 2, these are people who will exercise twice a week. Group 3, tinawag mo itong control group kasi hindi sila kakaroon ng exercise na pampalakas. Kasi diba, you wanted to know the impact of exercise on the strength of the person. So ang gagawin nila, stretching. Siguro yoga. Tapos yung group 1 and 2, push-up, halimbawa. So if you will notice here, meron kang specific cause and effect relationship na nangyayari, di ba? Cause and effect relationship. So ang cause, kinontrol mo siya. Binigyan mo sila ng iba't ibang frequency of exercising, di ba? Tingnan mo kung paano yun makaka-apekto, effect on their strength, level of strength. Yung isang grupo nga, hindi mo binigyan ng strength, ng exercises, stretching siya. So ano yung gusto mo kasi i-compare, yung magiging effect. So now enters the independent and the dependent variable. So ano yung pinakaiba ng dalawa? And in that particular sample research, alin yung independent and alin yung dependent variable? So first, yung independent variable, siya yung iyong kinokontrol or kaya mong baguhin or kontrolin. Samantalang itong dependent variable, ito yung iyong sinusukat. Kasi, or ito yung iyong tinitest. Okay? Kumbaga ito yung input, ito yung output. Pag kinontrol ko ito, independent variable, what will happen to the dependent variable? The question, what will happen, masagot mo by measuring it in some way or by testing it, by testing the subjects. So in the particular example, ano yung kinontrol mo doon? Di ba yung type of exercises na ginawa nila? Di ba yung group A, 4 times a week and so on? Ano yung iyong mineasure? Dahil meron kang ganung input, ano yung magiging output? Strength. Gusto mong makita yung strength nila. So how can you measure that? Siguro, tingnan mo kung gaano nakabigat yung kaya nilang ma-lift na weights afterwards, di ba? So definitely you expect that people who were more frequent in doing their strength exercises will be able to lift more weights and so on. So the value does not depend on other variables. So isinet mo kasi ito, ikaw ang nag-set nito. So itong grupo ito 4 times a week, ito 2 times a week. This is your parang own decision. Okay, so hindi siya nakadepende on any variable. But dependent variable depends. Kaya nga siya dependent variable. It depends on the independent variable. Yung strength ng mga subject mo will depend on the frequency of the strength exercises that they did. Siyempre, mas malakas yung mas frequent, diba? At saka yung nag-exercise ng mga strength exercises. So, ito pala yung cause. Ito pala yung cause variable. And then this one is actually the effect variable. Another study. You want to compare brands of paper towels to see which hold the most liquid. Paper towels o mga tissue, for example. Siyempre, iba't ibang brand, diba? So, you can have different thickness. You can have different material na ginamit ng manufacturer. You can have different process kung paano ginawa yung mga paper towels na yon. Gusto mo malaman kung paano naka-apekto ang mga factors na to doon sa kanyang, kumbaga, water holding capacity. So, these are the causes. Ito yung effect. Naging epekto. You want to know whether caffeine affects your appetite. Kung naapektuhan daw ng pag-inom siguro ng kape. Definitely coffee. Kasi caffeine. Yung iyong appetite. Siguro kung gano'n kadami kumain after uminom ng coffee. So definitely the IV independent variable, siguro bibigyan mo to ng 3 cups of coffee. Ito, group B, bibigyan mo ng 2 cups, 1 cup, or no cup of coffee at all. Tingnan mo kung ano lang effect sa appetite o gaano kadami nakain niya after niya uminom ng ganong kadaming coffee. Okay? So, this is the cause. What happened dahil kinontrol mo to. This is the effect. In this illustration, you have a specific drug or specific medicine. You didn't give this person any. Ito binigyan mo ng isa. This one you gave 2 and then 3. So, yung quantity ng medication that you give. And then, you were looking at the effect in terms of drowsiness. Sino yung inantok? O kaya histamine level. Okay? So, cause and effect.